It's the year of the ninja. Koei Tecmo and Team Ninja are back once again with the legendary franchise Ninja Gaiden. This year alone, we're getting 3 games: Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, and the long-awaited Ninja Gaiden 4. Ever since the 6th generation, Ninja Gaiden has been placed in the upper echelon of hack and slash games like Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, and God of War.
Zeus! Your son has returned.
It has earned a reputation of being difficult, and many people have given up on Ryu's journey due to the game's notorious difficulty spikes. I always wanted to sit down and beat these games, as I am a huge fan of the hack and slash genre. Plus, I think I should be able to give a more balanced assessment of what Ninja Gaiden can offer to newcomers, and those that are veterans to hack and slash games as well. Ninja Gaiden has cultivated a loyal fan base that understands these games in and out. The community is dedicated to spreading the word on how great Ninja Gaiden is, but I also think the longer someone plays a game, they may become accustomed to poor game design that would otherwise piss most people off. My goal is to always give a thorough and fair review. At times, nostalgia can blind us as gamers, especially when you spend so much time playing the same game. So trust me when I say this, as someone who has no bias. Ninja Gaiden is, well, it's complicated. Before we can even dive into this review, I have to give a brief history of Ninja Gaiden and its many versions. No, not that Ninja Gaiden, this Ninja Gaiden. In 2004, Ninja Gaiden released exclusively for the original Xbox, and within a year came Ninja Gaiden Black, an updated version of Ninja Gaiden with new content, features, and modes. PlayStation fans weren't left out of the loop for long though. In 2007, Ninja Gaiden Black will be ported to the PS3 under the name Ninja Gaiden Sigma, this time with high-definition graphics and a new playable character. In 2012, Ninja Gaiden again was ported to the Vita as Ninja Gaiden Sigma Plus, which brought Sigma on the go. It had to be compromised a bit with the frame rate going from 60 frames per second to 30, but it also had Vita gimmicks like gyro controls and touch controls, so if you like that, I guess that counts for something. Finally, we have Ninja Gaiden Sigma again, which released again in 2021 in the Ninja Gaiden Master Collection. This is the version I played, and it's basically Ninja Gaiden Sigma Plus from the Vita, but now in 60 frames per second and slightly better visuals. There are many online debates on which version of Ninja Gaiden is the best, but realistically, most people will play the easiest version to buy, which will be the Master Collection version. Now, it is cool though, if you're an Xbox owner, you do get the benefit of being able to play Ninja Gaiden Black via Xbox One's backwards compatibility. I do own Black, and I do plan on covering this particular version at a later date, but just know that most of the pros and cons I discuss will be in both versions of Ninja Gaiden. The important part to know is that you shouldn't get wrapped up in which version you should play and the differences, because ultimately for most people it doesn't matter. Researching Ninja Gaiden could easily drift you into these multiple forums of people arguing on their preferred copy of Ninja Gaiden, and it could just give you a headache for newcomers. Really, the more I read about all these variations, the more I learn that none of it really matters, and it's really just something that people debate about that actually was able to experience these things when they first arrived. So like I said, don't worry about it. It is fun to learn this lore and hear the fans talk about which version was better, but for newcomers like us, just play the version you can easily buy. When we think about a hack and slash game, a few things may come to mind. 1, the player fights with some kind of a weapon, typically a sword or a blade. 2, the games are at least moderately difficult, with an emphasis on combos and even styling on your opponents. 3, to break up the action, there may be a few puzzles or some platforming segments. And 4, the stories are very simple and are a side to the main course, which is the action. Ninja Gaiden sticks to these traditions of the genre in all but one area. Ninja Gaiden is not about styling on your enemies or pulling off these long string combos. Instead, Ninja Gaiden does something that was very unique for the time. It asks the player to kill their opposition as efficiently as possible, not as stylish as possible. This one change sets Ninja Gaiden apart from most of the hack and slash games of its era, and really even today it stands out by doing its own thing. Which is why people are a bit worried that Ninja Gaiden 4 being made by PlatinumGames could change Ninja Gaiden into more of a combo focused game, rather than a more strategic one, as they are more known for their over the top action and crazy combo heavy slashers. I like to think of Ninja Gaiden as the thinking man's hack and slash. Now, Team Ninja may want you to kill your foes as quickly as possible, but in my honest opinion, I really think they designed Ninja Gaiden in a way that misleads the player. Let me explain what I mean. Ninja Gaiden may be built around efficiency, but I sure didn't get that vibe at first. Just by looking at this gameplay, you would think Ninja Gaiden is similar to its competitor Devil May Cry. You got a speedy ninja character that's bouncing around and flipping around all over the screen, launching demons high into the heavens, slashing them to bits, only to send them crashing down on their heads. Multiple weapons you can choose from, which can be upgraded to increase not only their damage, but expand the deep combo list each one has. It's all here in your face. Everything the player needs to know that this game is about doing wild moves while looking cool. So why do I die every single time I try to do something stylish? Like I said, Ninja Gaiden is about doing what's best for the job. But let's be fair here. Unlocking weapons back to back, along with gaining more moves as I upgraded them, I thought reasonably that I could, possibly just a little bit Team Ninja Itagaki, I could probably use these new attacks that I unlocked. Fans of Ninja Gaiden already know that more than half of each weapon's combo list is pointless. A beginner will not know this, and why would they? I've been gaming all my life, and I can't think of any other video game that I've ever played that rewards the player with so much pointless content. If someone like me was lost, I could only imagine the frustration of the poor soul that gets enticed by the epic gameplay, only to realize you won't be doing most of these moves, especially as you play on the higher difficulties or try for the higher ranks. The diehards know the meta of Ninja Gaiden, but you won't, and no game should be designed around the player uncovering cryptic exploits just to beat it. Before anyone kills me in the comment section, I'm not saying Ninja Gaiden is bad at all. However, if we are being objective, we should all understand that Ninja Gaiden gives off mixed signals. To prove my point, I'll use some games to back up my argument, and it's no better game to start with than a game made by Team Ninja themselves, Nioh. Nioh is a Souls-like hack and slash RPG. Nioh gives the player tons to play with when it comes to builds, equipment, weapons, moves, stand switching, and so much more. Nioh, unlike Ninja Gaiden, allows you to play however you want and actually encourages experimentation with its systems alongside providing you with the tools to be creative with your build and combos. Nioh is way more technical than Ninja Gaiden, and somehow is easier to understand for most players. Now, to be completely fair, Nioh has its own issues, especially when it comes to their confusing tutorial about the armor system and stat system. Till this very day, gamers are still checking out videos explaining the RPG side of Nioh, but to be fair, that is common for the genre. When a game has so many builds and options, of course a lot of people may be confused or be looking for guidance. While Ninja Gaiden doesn't have builds, it does have a combo list that would impress the average fighting game fan, but actively pushes you from trying most of them. I think Team Ninja could have just limited the number of moves, while still giving the player different weapons to eliminate any confusion. I reviewed Onimusha Warlords, which is a hack and slash game that isn't about combos just like Ninja Gaiden. Onimusha keeps the player's expectations on what you can and can't do with a sword in its proper place. You can look at anyone play Onimusha and grasp that this game is about being wise with your swings and not about flashiness. Ninja Gaiden looks like Devil May Cry, gives you a Tekken-sized combo list, but asks the player to play it like Onimusha. It's extremely confusing and just plain old poor game design. After hearing that, you might think I hate Ninja Gaiden, but it's complicated. I think it's a good time to finally dive into the gameplay directly so you can understand why I'm so perplexed by Ninja Gaiden's ninja way. Ryu begins with his dragon sword, a handful of combos, and some shuriken. The first couple of stages teach you the bare minimum before letting you off the leash. They didn't even teach me how to attack or block before they sent a ninja all up in my grill. No problem though, I've beaten harder games than this, so I'll adapt. Getting through the first stage gives you a taste of what to expect on your adventure. Short stages filled with dead bodies, with a sprinkle of exploration, puzzles, and platforming. I think the restrictive moveset and deadly enemies in the early game does reinforce the idea that you should kill as fast as you can. Ryu can knock bad guys down, allowing him to get in a downward stab. 9 times out of 10, if you stab a guy while he's down, it's going to instantly kill him, but every now and again you might gotta poke him a few times. There are other moves like the flying swallow that is made to cut foes' heads off in a flash. Then you have Essence Technique and Ultimate Technique, dubbed ETs and UTs by the community. By holding down the special attack button, Ryu will charge up and either do a quick slash or a deadly combo. These moves also have the potential of instantly killing your enemies, which again shows you how different Ninja Gaiden's approach is to hack and slash games. Other hack and slash games do have execution moves, but these are commonly used as a reward for beating the crap out of your enemy. Ninja Gaiden just cuts out the middleman altogether. You might be wondering, if Ninja Gaiden provides the player with a swift way of dealing with the fiends, ninjas, and whatever else is trying to kill you, then why would I claim that Team Ninja is actively going against the core point of his game design? Well, just like any other game in the genre, your limited move list doesn't stay that way forever. Ryu can upgrade his weapons, and with each upgrade, he gains new moves to pull off. It only makes sense that the player will want to use their new moves, but Ninja Gaiden really doesn't want you to do that. I beat Ninja Gaiden on normal. This is important because as you go up in difficulty, you will be using even less of Ryu's moves, especially if you want to get the highest rank, which is Master Ninja. In my playthrough, I tried as many moves as possible. Ryu's animations are amazing in this game, and just watching him slash and flip around is a sight to see. Unlocking even cooler moves is a no-brainer from a development standpoint as well. Giving the player more moves by nature would encourage the player to want to try them out and see how they can incorporate them into battle. Ninja Gaiden, for all its over-the-top fast-paced action, is really about playing defensively, avoiding enemies, creating space to break up the horde from jumping you, and doing whatever it takes to kill fast. There are deadly 3-hit combos that can kill most enemies in the game that you will have by default. Yet they reward you with longer combos that don't kill as fast or add anything of use to the player. I want to be very clear about this. I am aware that there is a lot of games that have moves that you can unlock that aren't that useful, but in my experience, those games that have that problem, that's a minor issue. It's not most of the moves, it's just a few of them that really don't have any good usage. And what I mean by that is that there's typically a better solution, not that the game is punishing me for using these moves. It's just there's a better option to do. Ninja Gaiden, however, is different. Ninja Gaiden will actively punish you for doing long string combos, but they keep rewarding me with long string combos. If you ever want to pull off one of these moves, your best bet is to do it when there's only like one guy left on the screen, but even then it's pointless unless you just want to show off for YouTube. Ninja Gaiden is notorious for disciplining the player for going combo mad with multiple enemies around them. This is a big departure from other hack and slash games, at least the ones that I can think of. I want you all to know that making a hack and slash game focus on quick kills is perfectly fine. No More Heroes is a very simplistic hack and slash game with the focus being on quickly slashing and dodging attacks, with the reward of a fatality once you get them stunned. No More Heroes was originally designed for the Nintendo Wii, and if you look at the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, you can see that these bad boys aren't designed with crazy inputs in mind. No More Heroes never confused me as a player. I never once thought I was supposed to go crazy with button inputs, cause it's not even an option. The funny part about all this is there's another Koei Tecmo franchise that is known to confuse new players. The Warrior series of games are known for their hundreds of enemies on screen, their base capturing gameplay, and they even share a similar combo list with Ninja Gaiden. The Warriors games distract you with grunts when what you should actually be doing is taking out high-ranking officers, capturing bases, and doing whatever the current mission is. Once you understand this, you'll stop failing missions and actually enjoy the Warriors games for what they are. Ninja Gaiden is the same way. Once you accept that all these cool moves you see are a distraction and that you should be playing more reserved, your enjoyment will increase. The problem is you may not come to this realization until near the end of the game, like me. And that could sour your view of Ninja Gaiden. It's funny that what you learn in the first few stages is really all you need and should be doing, despite the game giving you more combat options. Even after figuring out the way Team Ninja wanted me to play, there are still bumps in the road to becoming a master ninja. Ninja Gaiden has systems and mechanics that aren't explained well to the player, and while some of them I can forgive, others I have a big problem with. Fiend challenges are fights built into the main campaign where Ryu must defeat all threats before he is rewarded with a very useful item. These trials can take some time due to the number of demons that can come in after you. You could end up fighting 60 demons in one challenge. It's crazy how long these can take, but my main problem is that the game doesn't tell you that Fiend challenges are even a thing in the game. It took me to get to the Red Demon Fiend challenge before I googled to figure out what was going on. I thought my game was broken or that I was missing something because if anyone had to sit here in the same room for 10 minutes or more fighting the same 3 foes, you might think something is wrong, like maybe the game just won't stop spawning in the same enemies or I'm supposed to do something else to get them to stop spawning if you don't know these things even exist. Other hack and slash games have optional challenges to push the player's limits too, so the inclusion of these bonus challenges makes sense, but how they went about it is the problem I have. All they had to do was make these fights be clearly optional. They could have even given the player the option to decide to begin one or not, like every other hack and slash game that I know of that has these type of fights. Heck, they actually have one that is off the beaten path already. So they could have made all of them like this one. By just exploring the map, you could find yourself in an endless wave of the same 2 enemy types, which highlights another issue. Remember how I said that Ninja Gaiden isn't about doing crazy combos? Well, once you find an effective way to dealing with certain enemies, it only makes sense that you use what you know. Fighting the same bad guys back to back while doing the same 3 moves can be boring and repetitive. Now, I think what Team Ninja was going for here is that even though this doesn't seem boring on the surface because this game is so challenging and you could die in just a few hits or a few mistakes, but once you get good at the game, yeah man, you're just going to be on autopilot doing the same 3 moves over and over again, just waiting for it all to end, especially when you don't know that you're in a Fiend challenge like me. If Ninja Gaiden favored player expression with its many weapons and combos, you wouldn't be as bored fighting hordes of enemies over and over again. Sadly, that's not the case, and again, Onimusha pulled this similar type of challenge off while not overdoing it, and they also didn't throw it into the main campaign. It's clearly something you can do off the beaten path if you choose to. It's not unusual for a hack and slash to have hidden strategies to win, but some of these solutions really piss me off when I learned them. Near the end of the game, you'll run into these annoying ghost fish. You can't block them, they latch onto you, and as soon as you shake them off, they can immediately attack you again. The game is nice enough to tell you that you should use your bladed nunchucks. They say you must master them in order to deal with these dumb fish, but what does that even really mean? You are unlikely to die by the fish, as they normally give you health back once you do get to kill them. Plus, they die in one hit and honestly are just here to be annoying to the player and pad out the game. Padding is a huge issue with Ninja Gaiden, but we'll come back to that problem later. The best way to kill them is to start a basic combo by tapping the normal attack button. The trick is to jump before the combo ends, as when the combo actually ends, you're left wide open to be bitten by a dozen piranhas. How are you supposed to know this? Well, you aren't. It's something that was discovered and researched by the Ninja Gaiden community, and that's really the only reason I even knew how to do it. This isn't fun to me at all. It's not challenging either. Once you learn the trick, you won't be bitten by them as much, if not at all, but still, they just come in waves after waves and they're just here to be annoying and they provide nothing of substance. There are other enemies similar to the ghostfish in the game, but aren't even as close as being this bad. I feel like they just wanted to make the game harder for the finale, but this isn't the way you should go about doing this. Now, if you think fighting off endless demons is hard, just wait till you realize the true enemy of Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden has a very special enemy that follows the player around. It's kind of similar to the creatures that you might find in a Resident Evil game. It doesn't just stalk you either. They had the nerve to make it invisible, and even more strange is that you can control this enemy. It's a very unique design. I like to call this entity the camera. Listen, all theatrics aside, I'm not even going to beat around the bush here. Ninja Gaiden has one of the worst cameras I've ever experienced in a AAA game. Even though this game originally came out in the 6th generation, and granted, during this time, developers were just beginning to use dual analog sticks, with one being dedicated for the camera, but damn, it's like they just said screw it and gave up on trying. You can control the camera yourself, but you rarely will, and definitely not in combat due to how Ninja Gaiden plays. And that's because of the block button. To guard, you want to hold down the shoulder button, or in my case L2, as I remap my controls to be more like the control scheme of the original Xbox version. While blocking, you can dodge out of harm's way. You always want to guard, even when not in combat, as dodging into a roll jump is the fastest way to get around. Your right hand will be on the face buttons for when you need to attack, leaving the right analog stick, aka the camera stick, unoccupied. The camera itself is dynamic. It will change its orientation depending upon the room, where you're at in it, or if you're fighting the boss, as the camera will focus more on them if you are. Ryu, being a ninja and all, will be dashing all over the place, flipping off walls, and basically causing the camera to change as you need to move around the room to avoid damage in most cases. That's cool and all, but because enemies can come from any angle, a lot of the times their butt will end up in front of the camera lens like they're about to twerk or something. There is a camera reset button that places the camera behind Ryu, but even then, this isn't all that helpful. Resetting the camera in certain situations could be bad for you, because if you're against the wall, 9 times out of 10, resetting the camera will give you like this pseudo fake first person view, and that can really throw you off your game. The best thing to do is just to get used to the jank and adapt to it. This will take time, of course, and not all gamers are going to put themselves through hell just to get used to a bad camera. Normally, games in the hack and slash genre have either a panned out camera so that you don't end up fighting with it, fixed camera angles, the gameplay is typically not this erratic as Ninja Gaiden is, meaning the action is easy to follow regardless of the camera, or simply, they just have a good camera. The flying swallow, a crucial move to this game, is often tricky to pull off because it requires you to aim the analog stick at your enemy while you're flying towards them. The camera can really throw you off, and it sure is frustrating when Ryu does a different move instead of the one that you were planning on him doing. Ninja Gaiden technically has a lock-on system, but it's automatic. You may notice that Ryu's head will track the bad guy he is focusing on, and realizing this does help you keep track on who he will be attacking when you start swinging. These are just major issues that I dealt with. I didn't even touch on the smaller issues like, why in the world is this interaction prompt so sensitive. It's so sensitive to the point that I end up missing the prompt because you have to be right on the mark to hit it, or sometimes it will register a double input and I end up wasting my arrows. Then you got this hit or miss platforming, having to pause the game to switch weapons, which is important as each enemy dies faster if you use the right weapon or not. Or this boss that plays nothing like any other fight in the game, and if you blink too fast, you might miss this message that tells you the special controls just made for this fight. All of this sounds bad, and I wouldn't be shocked if you thought Ninja Gaiden was not worth your time. I would agree, but it's complicated. Ninja Gaiden may have tested my patience at times, but one thing that never got to me was its difficulty. I rarely died, and for those that don't know, Ninja Gaiden has been labeled one of the hardest games of all time. Ninja Gaiden was so known for being hard that they created Ninja Dog mode for those people that couldn't live up to true ninjahood. Playing on normal does have its perks, as you will be given a good amount of healing items and money to supply your needs. Although many of the combos will go unused, the weapon variety is actually very well done. Each weapon has a purpose, as some are better for rapid attacks, others are slower but pack a punch, and your basic sword does have the flying swallow that can instantly kill most enemies, and works great as a homing attack when it does connect. The sword also enables the famous Azuna drop. The Azuna drop has to be the most iconic move associated with the franchise, and it's not only cool and satisfying to pull off, but if used wisely, it can get you out of a lot of trouble. The Azuna drops works after you launch an enemy high up. You are normally safe up here, allowing you to get off a few hits before grabbing your foe and slamming their head into the concrete with a dazzling spin. You also get iframes as well. Iframes means invisibility frames, so it's a great move to keep in your arsenal. Counterattacks are also great, and the beautiful part is that there is literally no downside to Ninja Gaiden's counter system. Some attacks can break your guard. It just depends on the weapon you're currently blocking with, the attack the enemy is using, and the type of enemy that you're fighting. Some attacks won't ever break your guard depending upon the weapon you're currently using, so you have to play around with to know which weapon is good for certain situations. Guarding also works no matter where you are facing, meaning if you are guarding and get hit from behind, Ryu will just automatically turn around and block it. A counterattack only works after you have been attacked while blocking. There is a visual and sound cue to help you get the timing right, but if you press the button at the wrong time, nothing will happen anyway. You could literally just sit here and spam the counter button over and over again, and there's no penalty to doing so. I still think you should just pay attention instead of mashing the button, but until you get the hang of it, why not do it this way? Each weapon has a different variation on how counters work too. Some weapons just create space as Ryu ends up kicking the enemy far away from him, while others are an instant kill. From time to time, Ryu will find himself in tight rooms with walls all around him, but this ninja knows how to use his cage as a weapon. By jumping on a wall, you can wall run and bounce off walls for platforming purposes or for combat. Jumping off walls and slashing down can do massive damage, and sometimes split a ninja in two. Wall running into a flying swallow is a nice trick to close the gap between you and the demons, and it's a good way to get off the ground to create space too. Going back to weapons, as you level them up, you unlock new moves, gain overall strength, and some weapons even change design completely. The Lunar Staff was one of my favorite weapons in the game. Its balance between its speed and range, but weak attacks plays very well together. Once you level it up, it gains blades at the end of it, adding even more damage potential. Leveling up weapons requires essence, and essence is a mechanic that I feel Ninja Gaiden does all on its own and no other game has something similar to it. Essence are these orbs that drop from fallen enemies, and sometimes you'll find them in the environment when you break certain things. Yellow essence is the currency, blue essence is for healing, and red essence is to fill your magic gauge. The amount of essence dropped is determined by how many hits you can pull off on an enemy, and also the enemy type, as some enemies just give more essence in general. Now you might be saying, If doing longer combos can potentially give you more essence, isn't that the point of doing them? Well, not really, because you gotta remember, the way Ninja Gaiden works with its combo system is that as long as you're hitting the enemy, it builds up the combo meter. You don't necessarily have to use the longer combo strings, you just gotta make sure you're not killing them very fast. So you still are gonna use the most efficient combos and not the longer ones unless it's a one-on-one fight. Essence is also used for the combat as well, and this is where it gets interesting. If you charge your ultimate technique while essence is floating around, you will pull it towards yourself, increasing the charge faster. And different essence types will give you a different level of charge. So now you have this really cool decision you have to make on whether or not you should absorb your essence. And if it's the money essence, you're going to lose most of the money. You do keep some of it, but most of it's gone. And if it's health or magic, all of that's lost. You don't get any magic, you don't get any health, but you do get an ultimate technique pretty much instantly. This is such a unique idea, and Ninja Gaiden really works well with this little mind game that they added. You can even hold down the block button to stop essence from coming towards Ryu and save it for later. On normal difficulty, you should have plenty of essence to upgrade and buy the things you may need in the shop without farming. This may change as you move up in difficulty, as using ETs and UTs is the name of the game when you're playing on harder game modes, because you want to get those moves out as fast as possible, so you'll be having less essence to play with. Ryu also came packing with a few sub weapons as well. Everything you think a ninja would have is here. Shuriken, bows, smoke bombs, you know, the usual. These items are very situational on normal, but on hard and above, using Shuriken to expand combos and stop foes from rushing you is a must. If you plan on playing Ninja Gaiden on its hardest difficulty, you might as well practice using them in your combos on normal, but otherwise they're not needed. The bow comes in handy a few times, but one boss fight relies on it. The chopper boss fight is one of the unique fights in the game. Ninja Gaiden's strong suit is not first-person shooting, and seeing as this version restricts dodging while aiming, it can be a pain in the butt to fight this thing. Right after is a battle with some soldiers that require you to shoot out these lights to destroy this tower. Please don't make the same mistake I did thinking you're supposed to shoot all the bad guys, because I don't think they ever stop spawning and they will easily just kill you. The second to last boss also uses your bow, and man, talk about some cryptid bullcrap. This boss will swarm you with skulls, and the last attack does massive damage, and I really don't think there's a way to avoid it. You're supposed to do a flying swallow into it. How were you supposed to know to do this is beyond me, but this is the era of trial and error gameplay, so it is what it is. You also have Ninpo, which is this game's version of magic. Most Ninpo puts you in an invincibility state, and it can do lots of damage on multiple demons at once. Learning when to use magic is important. Anytime I was low on health and I was afraid I could die, I would use Ninpo to pull me through. You shouldn't abuse Ninpo unless you're in a fiend challenge, as there's a high chance that they'll just drop red essence so you can fill your magic back up. You can make magic even more deadly with special orbs you find. Exploring and completing fiend challenges will reward Ryu with different upgrade items. Life of 1,000 Gods will increase your health bar, and Life of the Gods will do the same thing as long as you collect 9 of them in a row. Jewels of the Demon Seal level up your magic and can be tricky to find. Finding any of these requires you to hunt down all fiend challenges and search the map well. I missed a few of these myself, but you should be fine as long as you aren't rushing to the finish line. Weapons, Ninpo, and skills need to be found and can be missed as well, and you really don't want to skip any of these. There are these golden scarabs that you can find hidden throughout each level. I found many of these on my own, and I probably could end up finding them without a guide, but of course if you need one, just look one up. Bringing these scarabs back to Muramasa the merchant will reward you with helpful items along your journey, so it's worth collecting them. Ryu also gains different types of equipment that can buff his attacks, his defense, and can even change how essence works. You get these by beating certain chapters, and they're really helpful, so make sure to equip them. Ninja Gaiden also has health and magic potions that you should use cautiously. If you find yourself running out of them, it's about time that you get better at defense and play smarter. Once you have beaten Ninja Gaiden, you have more difficulty modes to test your skills. Team Ninja doesn't mess around on hard or above, so make sure you study the ways of the ninja before jumping in. There is also going for chapter ranks, with Master Ninja being the max. Karma is Ninja Gaiden's scoring system, and this is kind of how it works. Karma is calculated based on the speed you beat certain groups and the speed at which you beat the level as a whole. Your number of overall kills, the amount of essence that you have once you have completed the stage, and the amount of life and Ninpo you have by the end as well. Doing long combos can increase your karma, as well as doing UTs and ETs. You can click in the analog stick to see how much karma you have at any time. It even shows you a timer for certain fights that offer you a bonus score for speed. There is also survival and ninja trial mode. Ninja trial mode puts you in different scenarios and you must take out everyone in your way, while maximizing your score. Survival mode is a bit simpler. You're given one weapon to use and must fight waves of bad guys till you're the last one standing. There is also speed challenges that focus on how fast you could take everyone out versus just killing them in general. Then you also have your Rachel missions. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about Rachel. Rachel is the new playable character for Ninja Gaiden Sigma. She has a few story missions as well as survival missions. Rachel is a strong fighter that has a giant hammer guy. She has a giant hammer. She's slower than Ryu, but faster than what you would expect. She has a nice reversal move where she flips over thugs and whacks them from behind. Rachel only has one weapon and one magic attack though. Just like Ryu, you gotta play smart. And although her hammer does have a few cool moves, you really should just stick to this one combo where she ends up like flinging the enemy away. It looks cool and it gives you invincibility frames and it's just a no-brainer. She has her own Fiend challenges, special boss fights, and she can even play dress up when you unlock different types of hair and glasses for her. I really like Rachel as a character, and she complements Ryu by being the more tankier fighter. If I'm being honest, it was learning how to play as Rachel that helped me understand how I should be playing as Ryu. Behind every great hack and slash star is a hot blonde, and Rachel is no different.
It's gonna be a busy night.
Ninja Gaiden 1, Black, Sigma, Sigma Plus, whatever you want to call it, is known for being the one game out of the trilogy that has deep exploration. Well, when I say deep exploration, I mean in comparison to other Ninja Gaiden games that came after this one. Trust me, it ain't much going on in this department, and I can't say how much the sequel streamlined exploration, but I can understand why they would have less of it, because what you get here at best just exists, and at worst it just sucks all together. One of the main reasons why it's not all that great is because of how Ryu feels when he moves. Our ninja boy has weight to him, and you can almost feel him bounce around with each step. He almost feels like controlling a car at times with his wide turning. This will take some time to get used to, and you should get comfortable in the combat arena with it around chapter 2. Platforming though is a whole nother story. Thankfully, you'll rarely have to do platforming, but when you have to, don't be surprised if the weighted movement of Ryu and the poor camera angles of this game throw you off a bit. I do think it's cool that they put wall running and wall jumps in this game. These are the most iconic abilities of a ninja, and when it works, it's awesome. Swimming in this game is not my favorite, as the few times they make you do it, it felt slow and clunky, especially when you first get Ryu going. There may be like, 5 puzzles in this game, and they're all easy. A ninja is about action, not playing mind games, so I get it, but they do feel like they just added them in here to check them off of a feature list, which was common for most hack and slash games back in the day to have some form of puzzling. The level design allows for backtracking, as most of the game is technically in one location that is broken up in each chapter. You may be thinking to backtrack once you've unlocked a solution to a previously blocked path, but you don't need to do this, as the game will eventually just loop you back around anyway, so you can just keep marching forward. Nobody will ever say, "Man, I sure love how great exploration is in Ninja Gaiden Sigma," And that's okay. Look, we all know why people came to play these games, and no, this is not the reason. We came for high octane action, for cool ninja techniques, and something to challenge our skills. Ninja Gaiden, despite its issues, achieves this. But there is also a story, and well, that's not complicated at all. Look guys, I'm not even gonna waste your time here. Ninja Gaiden's story is very irrelevant. Back in the day, a cutscene would be like a reward to the player. And I'm talking about like the Super Nintendo, PlayStation 1 games. Like, I know that may sound like a foreign concept, but yes, there was a time where just simply seeing high-end computer graphics was a treat to most people. And the story behind it, we didn't really care, bro. We just liked seeing the cool graphics. And Ninja Gaiden, it's a perfect example of a game that has a story just to justify like why things are going on. To prove my point even further, Team Ninja knew the story in this game was irrelevant to the point that they didn't even add the opening demo screen into Sigma on PS3. For those who don't know, this screen showed off Ryu and some added context to his lore and backstory, and most importantly, the lore of the Dark Dragon Blade, which is the catalyst of the whole entire plot. Basically, Ryu is training in his uncle Mirai's village. Ryu kills some ninjas and then spars with his uncle. Mirai asks Ryu about the Dark Dragon Blade. This is a typical evil blade that can turn you into the devil if you wield it. Ryu and his clan watch over this blade to make sure that no one uses it. Mirai is disappointed that the power of the blade won't be used and then says it's none of his business cause he's not a part of the Dragon Clan anyway. Now, let's just use our brains here. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that Mirai wants this sword. He asks about the sword, but then says it's not his concern. Then why are you asking about it, bruh? Why do you want to know? Why are you in my business for? Why you want to know about what we got going on? Then magically, Ryu's village suddenly gets attacked. So Ryu goes off to save his people. Ryu makes it to his village and finds Doku, a demon inside of some type of samurai armor with the dragon blade in his hand, or rather the Dark Dragon Blade. Ryu fails, then heads off to Tyrone, I don't know this place, to get revenge on all the people that died in his village and to retrieve the Dark Dragon Blade. What happens after this can be summed up pretty easily. Ryu meets Rachel. Rachel is hunting demons and speaks of cursed blood that both her and Ryu have in common. She's looking for her sister who turned into a fiend, as the only way to save them is by killing them. Ryu and Rachel go their separate ways after Rachel gets swallowed up by a tentacle monster. Now, if you know anything about the Japanese and their tentacle monsters, you could kind of figure out what this is suggesting. I'll let you use your imagination. Then the rest of the game is just murdering guys. It's just killing all over the place. That's just basically what it is. That's until Ryu saves Rachel again, and her sister is also free this time around from Doku's bondage. Doku then turns Ryu into a smurf after fighting him for the last time. And this part really was just dumb to me. Doku awakened the inner demon in Ryu, and that's why he looks like he's a part of the Blue Man Group. But it doesn't do anything, like at all, like nothing changes. In the gameplay or in the cutscenes, like nothing seems to affect Ryu. He's just blue now. He doesn't even seem to be struggling or getting weaker. So it's just dumb. It's just pointless. It's just blue all of a sudden. Like it doesn't do, like typically in games or stories that have stuff like this, like the character gets weaker or they start like having an internal struggle. But no, he's just a smurf. I don't know. Like it's just stupid. It goes away eventually, and why, I don't know. And also how did Doku able to just make it like turn on? That we don't know either. It just says it and it just happens. This game isn't about his story, guys. We could kind of figure that out. Ryu then kills this annoying skeleton dude, but is now trapped in this lava-filled cave with the Dark Dragon Blade. Rachel then pops back up to come and save us. Once free, we find out that the mystery villain behind it all was none other than Old Man Mirai. Like Zoink Scoob, who could have saw this coming? He turns into the devil, you kill him, and then Ryu destroys the Dark Dragon Blade to prevent anyone from ever using it. Why they didn't ever just do this to begin with, I don't know. I guess the whole speech Mirai had about power and wanting power is why they kept it around. But then they said the sword was so evil that no one could ever use it. So if no one could ever use it, then the power would never be used. So it's only going to invite people like Mirai to come and steal it. So why didn't they just destroy it to begin with? See how this story doesn't make any sense? Whatever, let me move on. Then Ryu does the most insane thing ever and curves the heck out of Rachel. I guess Ryu is like our boy Chris Redfield. He's not trying to spread the bloodline, if you know what I'm saying. Then he does some jutsu and turns into a damn bird and flies away. Now, why the hell didn't he just do this the whole entire time? He could have even flown out of that cave that he was stuck in, rather than me dying trying to read the distance between these jumps. Then again, I would rather hold on to Rachel than turn into a damn pigeon. So maybe our boy Ryu is a man of culture. And that's pretty much it. There is lore that you could find about the people Mirai teamed up with and his clan and all that other stuff, but respectfully, who cares? I never heard anyone say that Ninja Gaiden's story is good, or even talk about it for that matter, and it's for a good reason. It's not a bad story. It's not a good story either. It's actually kind of like in limbo, if you will. It's neither hot or cold. It's not sweet or sour. It exists, and that's as much of an opinion on it that I have. I would rather a story be bad than irrelevant, because at least then I would have something to say about it. Especially in a game like this where, at the end of the day, the real reason we're here is for the combat, not the story. So if it was bad, it's like whatever. If it was good, it'd be like, oh, that's cool, but still probably whatever. But it just being whatever, then you might as well not even tell me anything. At least you get treated to some nice cutscenes is what I would say. But, it's complicated. Ninja Gaiden still holds up to this day when it comes to its visuals. The game shows how powerful the original Xbox was. Now, of course, these aren't the original Xbox graphics, but Sigma is heavily based off the foundation that was already laid, so I'm gonna give credit to it. This is footage from Ninja Gaiden Black on Xbox One, and it still looks stunning, so you can see how I'm making that comparison. In fact, Ninja Gaiden Black on Xbox One looks better than the Master Collection version that I'm playing on my PS5. I'm not excusing the downgraded visuals, but there is a reasonable explanation for it. Apparently, Team Ninja lost the source code for Ninja Gaiden Black and Ninja Gaiden 2. Ninja Gaiden Sigma 1 and 2 for PS3, I think those games' code is still around, but at the same time, they lack the additions from Sigma Plus, so that's why we have those copies in the collection. So visually, well, we got our Vita versions upscaled and running at 60 frames per second. The Vita may have been almost comparable to a PS3 in visuals, but the more intense the game was, the less it resembled its big brother. You will clearly notice blurry textures and low detail while playing. This may be an issue for some, but it never really bothered me. What did throw me off at times were the CGI cutscenes. These have been upscaled and for the most part look fine, but then there are times where things look really bad. Sometimes it looks like someone smeared Vaseline on my screen, and of course there's a lot of screen tearing going on too. Final Fantasy Crisis Core Remake had a similar issue, and it wasn't the end of the world with that game, but it's still a problem that I should address as many people really do love their graphics. So for anyone that's looking for the best quality cutscenes that this game can offer, you might have to go on YouTube and see the better footage there. Ninja Gaiden sold very well when it released in 2004. The West loved it as the game catered to them with Ninja Gaiden's extreme violence and challenging gameplay. Japan wasn't feeling Ninja Gaiden as much as the West was, but that could be due to the fact that Ninja Gaiden was an Xbox exclusive. Ninja Gaiden actually began as a Dreamcast game, which I didn't know anything about, but we all unfortunately know what happened to Sega's last attempt. Team Ninja, led by Itagaki, shifted development to PlayStation 2. Itagaki, being the rebel that he is, secretly changed development to Xbox once he saw how impressive the tech was. His goal was to create a smooth and flowing game that focuses on reaction time rather than memorizing moves and enemy placements. Why then did they give us a bunch of moves to memorize? Your guess is as good as mine. To this day, The flowing animations and unrealistic body movements have been only done by Ninja Gaiden, at least in the mainstream. Ninja Gaiden also embraced online gaming for consoles with an online tournament on Xbox Live, and it also had downloadable expansion packs. From a tech standpoint, Ninja Gaiden was ahead of its time, and no other game was like it. For all of its low points, Ninja Gaiden still holds up even today. Ninja Gaiden Sigma Plus HD was a roller coaster ride of emotions. I was lured in by Ninja Gaiden's fast-paced combat and over-the-top moves, only to learn that Ninja Gaiden is more of a strategy game than an action game. I stand by that Team Ninja did a poor job of guiding the player into the optimal way of play. Devil May Cry, God of War, and Bayonetta looks flashy and rewards you for being so. No More Heroes, Nihon, and Strangers of Paradise may look cool, but isn't urging you to do wild moves, as much as doing what makes sense to win. I feel my experience would have been better early on if the game wasn't fighting with itself so much. I just hope that my experience will help newcomers to Ninja Gaiden. Now y'all already know it's too many different versions of Ninja Gaiden to name all the different Metacritic scores, but Ninja Gaiden Black has the highest score of a 94. Ninja Gaiden may not be for everyone. I've been gaming for a long time, so my skills over the years has allowed me to easily beat Ninja Gaiden on normal in about 3 days or so. If games today are hard to play for you, I suspect Ninja Gaiden may piss you off, so make sure you come ready to learn from each death. Before I go, it's important that I say this. Yes, I was able to adapt after overcoming the misleading game design found in Ninja Gaiden. Adapting and overcoming doesn't take away from bad things. Many gamers have pushed themselves through poor design choices only to forget that those things were even there once they discovered a way around them. This is not the same as you, the player, not paying attention to tips, tutorials, and clearly explained mechanics. When a game pushes you to do one thing only to punish you, this is bad design to me. Sometimes developers do this to teach you a lesson, like placing a hard boss fight in the early game that you aren't meant to win. They push you, if not force you, to fight knowing that most people will fail. This is normally done to teach you how death works, or it's a skill check to prep you for what's to come. Rewarding the player with more options that will go unused is confusing. Some games that have multiple upgrades and unlocks are bound to have some that have no use case, or they're so technical that the opportunity to use them is rare. But for a game that has over 9 weapons and a lot of them having up to 90 unlockable moves, and you only use maybe 10 of them because only 10 of the moves are useful at any given time, and I'm stretching it by saying 10. I don't know what else to say, but I just think that that's bad. Ultimately, however, Ninja Gaiden is a good game once you understand what they want you to do. If you are a fan of hack and slash games, but you're looking for something more technical while also giving you a fair amount of flash, Ninja Gaiden Sigma is your game. I could see myself returning to Ninja Gaiden to test my skills and even get the Platinum Trophy. But that will have to wait, as a ninja's job is never finished.